Hello, my name is Charlotte Bracegirdle. I'm an artist and I live and I work in London, and it is November 2024. My background, I've always made art from a child up until the age that I am now, which is 51. I grew up in Devon. I had 8 years there living in idyllic countryside. And then we moved to a small market town in Bedfordshire where I then went to college and studied my art foundation. And then I studied my degree in sculpture at Southampton Institute in 1994. And then I stayed living in Southampton for quite some time. And then I moved from sculpture to painting because my sculptures kept getting too big. And breaking them up was obviously quite sad. So I started painting there, and then eventually, after 7 years of trying to get onto a mastery in arts, I got into the Royal College of Arts in 2004, and I moved to London then, and that's how long, and I'm still in London now, living and working. Still making my work and trying to get it out there for people to see. I make all sorts of work, from sculpture to drawing to painting. The paper bag portraits that I'm really focusing on now is definitely more performative as well as visual. And so, yeah, that's a bit of everything.
My childhood was idyllic in many ways. I was raised in the countryside in Devon, very tiny village. My father was a vicar, Church of England vicar. My mum was a teacher. So, but it wasn't a particularly happy relationship. And I think as a child, I sought comfort in nature and animals, and kind of was very quiet. I absorbed a lot. I took a lot in. Wasn't particularly happy kiddie, I don't think. I don't doubt that my mum did her absolute best. But in the end, they did separate, which can only be a good thing. And we moved to a small market town where, again, I didn't feel like I fitted in. I never particularly felt like I fitted in anywhere. I do in London, however. And so I still love animals, and I think as an artist we hide ourselves away a little bit, and that certainly comes from my childhood in Devon and my quiet observing people. My teachers in school always said I was a daydreamer. Should work harder, was a familiar line written in my report. And I definitely was a daydreamer, staring out the window. And I think that observing people around me and trying to figure out the world as a little child, as all children do. I mean, since I've had a child, I really see now how everything is new to a kid. They're experiencing everything for the very first time. And I remember myself as a small child and realising, how complex and confusing the world must seem at times, and how we look to our parents for reassurance. And I certainly didn't get a lot of that reassurance and comfort that I needed at the time, and so therefore found solace in art and creating and just watching. And I think all that quietly watching has come out in my work, definitely, because it has to. As I said, before, if I didn't have my work, then I'm not sure where I would be. So, and the small market town, you just get on with it. I just got on with school, didn't like it. I had terrible art teachers, actually, except one in primary school or in lower school, and one very briefly at my middle school. But otherwise, they were all awful art teachers. Sorry, art teachers, but you were. And so I left art. I didn't do art A-level, and that was a bit crazy. And I went off to college and saw all these art students and thought, why aren't I with them? and then figured out what I needed to do, which was an art foundation course. And then I went back to it because I was just lost at sea, and then carried on from there. So that's just it, yeah. Of course, I think your childhood has a massive impact on who we become as our grown-ups, and as artists, it's something I think we all have to look at. Well, as people, we all need to look back at our childhoods and look at them and love that child that maybe didn't feel loved or maybe didn't get what it needed at the time, and have compassion, because that's how we learn to like ourselves. And but yeah. So.
My work is always very much, I think, about the human condition, just being alive, being human, and what it does to us and how we get through life. Gosh, it would take quite a while to get through my background. I grew up in religion, father being a vicar, and yeah, it was very not particularly joyful, and I found it very, what's the word? I saw two sides of everything. One side of how you should be at church and the other side of how people live their lives. There is a word for it and I can't think of it right now. And so this confused me greatly. And my family's been through an awful lot of trauma, and obviously that will have had a huge impact on my work. And continually does. I have a chronic illness. I missed that one out. Which affects me daily and means I can't work now and struggle a lot of days. And if you look at my paper bag life, I think that really comes across in how I draw and the videos that I make. I'm very aware of struggling and keeping going, picking yourself up, remaining positive when you don't want to. That could be an answer to why I'm working on my sadness series right now. She says, chuckling. So obviously it has a huge, your background I think has a huge impact on my work and how I see the world. And obviously with everything that's happening in the world right now, you can't be affected by that. And it continually, again, why my big sadness series is coming up. Because I feel very sad when I look out into the world right now, but also at the same time you have to live your life and remain positive and optimistic that things will get better and that there always is hope. My childhood was quite confusing and conflicting, not particularly cheerful. At times it was, and like I said in the previous voice note, yeah, obviously it's had a massive impact on my work, in the fact that my work is really, really about the human condition and how we manage. And I remain quite childlike in the way that my work is. I put a paper bag on my head and I draw faces on it. I think that's quite childlike. But as to where the areas that I lived in, not particularly. I don't think it was more the emotional stuff that was going on that I would say has really affected me. The small market town where I grew up as a teenager, I couldn't wait to sort of leave, I think simply because I wanted to be an artist and I wanted to move to London. And in fact, London is where I most feel at home now, which is great. And I feel very settled here. And I love the community and the diverse cultures that there are here. And again, that has a big impact on my work as well. I think what's really influenced my work most is my disability, in that it's really got in the way. It's 100, it's 10 steps forward and 100 steps back, it feels like. And so that is a real struggle at times, and I think it makes me very relatable to people. I have a very positive outlook, but when you've been ill from a child, you do learn just to crack on, but you also have, you don't have bad days. You obviously have bad days, and only close family and friends see that generally. But luckily, I've always felt it really positive that I have my art. The same as Tracy Emin says, I think if I didn't have my artwork, I may not be here. And if I didn't have that outlet, which is why I'm a big advocate for pushing art in schools and keeping it going and talking about that, because it really is a therapy, art. And I'm very, very glad that I have that, because, yeah, it would be a real struggle otherwise. Who are my biggest influences? Oh, that's always a tough one. Okay, where I am now with my paper bag life and this project, Saul Steinberg is my biggest hero there. If you don't know his work, go have a look. He was an absolute genius, and he was the big inspiration behind that, because he made paper bag portraits or faces on masks on bags and got his friends to wear them. But it's also his playfulness, as playful with his drawings, or if not more playful, I think, than Picasso. I think he's very overlooked, Saul Steinberg. And just, the playfulness, the childishness, the sheer delight and variation of his work. He is by far my biggest inspiration, I think. Otherwise, it would be the Dada artists, Hannah Hock, or the Surrealists, but also, all the Dada artists, Otto Dix, are huge. And I'm going to pause now because I need to make a list. Because I can't remember all their names. I can see all their work jumping out at me. I think the Gillian Waring, Cindy Sherman, Louise Bourgeois, Madeleine Dumas, Yang Svankmajer, all his animations, Monty Python, a lot of comedy, actually, Charlie Chaplin, all of that lot, and films, lots of films I am inspired by in TV, and I'm currently reading Naomi Klein's Doppelganger at the moment. If you haven't read it, read it. It's quite a hard read, but it's well worth reading and explains some things very well indeed. So, and books, I think as an artist, I get inspired by walking down the street, just looking around me. Even if that sounds a bit cheesy, it's true. I like sitting on a bus and looking at people's shoes, seeing how they sit, how they interact, how they stare. I never have music in, because I like to watch and listen and see everything around me when I'm out and about. Right now, I'm focusing on my paper bag life, which started in lockdown, actually. It was something I thought I would do with my son, make some paper bag portraits like Saul Steinberg. And then I didn't do that. I just drew my face on a bag, put it on my head, took a picture, really liked it. But it still took till now, this year, that I really sort of thought, okay, this is a project that I really want to do and I really need to crack on with. And it's a bit like a diary. So if you watch some of the videos, then you can see that it's me brushing my teeth, me cooking, me with my son and my mum, because we're together quite a bit, me looking in the mirror with lots of different bags on my head, drawing. But it is like a diary, but I have a bag on my head. On Instagram, you can actually see who I am, but on TikTok, nobody knows who I am there because it's quite a different audience. So I am anonymous on TikTok. And, it isn't a big thing that I'm anonymous. It's just stayed that way so far. And the paper bag is a mask. Because I just think, even before social media, we are all wearing that mask. I don't know whether anybody can ever really, truly, truly know someone. And certainly with social media, we now wear that mask I find some of those masks hideous. And also, we're all trying to be something that... It's like we're all trying to let people see our perfect selves, obviously, of which I don't believe exists. And so it's all about that, but it's also about me and my life and playfulness and exaggerating and making a piece of art, a performative piece of artwork. And so that's my big project at the moment. And I think that's going to continue, really. I imagined me drawing bags as I age. I mean, I'm halfway through life already. So, but it's something I feel that people can really connect with. And I'm really enjoying... It's challenging. I'm drawing on myself a lot. Seeing yourself a lot is quite hard work. And I'm trying to not feel like a narcissist when you're photocopying hundreds of your own face is quite fun. So yeah, that's sort of what I'm focusing on right now. What is the biggest challenge of being an artist? Oh, goodness me. I think... One, it's keeping going, generally, because obviously if you're not earning money from it, you're going to struggle. You need to have another job and keep that going. And I know a lot of my friends that are artists, some stop completely. They might work in the creative fields, but whether they're producing their own work isn't always the case. And... when you're I've never worried. I learned from a quite young age because of having to have jobs and then try and make work, or for me it was being ill and then trying to make work as well. And it was getting over the fact that it doesn't matter if you're not making any work for a period of time. Don't worry about it, because it's always there. You're always looking, you're always absorbing information and thinking, and it will come out if you want it to, and you focus on making some work. It will still be there. It will never leave you. But you obviously are the person that has to keep that going, which at times is really tough. And again, don't pressure yourself. Don't worry about it. It will come back. When I had my son and I was ill, that was really, really difficult. And I just had to say, I can't do everything. And my son is my number one right now, and my health. I need to look after me and I need to look after my son. And I was playing with him, and actually it was, do you know what, having that break, I came back eventually, years later. I kept on and off throughout my son's early childhood trying to make work, but I found it very difficult because I think of my health. And now he's 12 and I'm starting to really make more work now, more than ever again. And that feels really good. And yeah, it's been really tough. I'm not gonna lie there. But you just have to keep going, like with anything. You just have to keep making and keep thinking, I can do this, and it matters. For my own sake, it matters. And yeah, and just keep doing it. But I think that's the biggest challenge, is just being able to, live in this ever-changing world where it's very difficult financially to keep going. What advice would I give to my younger self? Oh, well, as I've said, just keeping going. Just keep going. That's it. And actually, you're better than you think you are. That's another big one. And also, really, just don't worry about what other people are thinking. Listen to people, obviously. Take it on and take what you need to, but just keep going and have more faith in yourself, because that was a big challenge for me, I think, having the confidence as a woman, as an artist. I remember all my interviews for MAs. I don't think there were any women on the interview panels, except when I had an interview at the Royal College of Art, and one of them was Dawn Mellor. Otherwise, I have a good feeling that it was all men. And that was really tough. And I didn't have the confidence. My work looked confident, but I didn't match it, and that never helped. But so I would just say, believe in yourself more. Don't worry so much. Don't give a shit more, actually. And just keep going. Because that's just what you're going to do. Have I ever tried any unconventional mediums or techniques? I would say, I think I'd say yeah, with the paper bags, apart from Saul Steinberg, but I don't think anyone's actually put a paper bag on their head with their face on it, with all these expressions on it. So that's probably my most unconventional medium, is a brown paper bag. Techniques, I don't think I've tried any unusual techniques, particularly. Also, I suppose actually some of my painting work, I paint out. So I take a image that already exists and I paint directly on top of it in acrylic to paint out what was there. But I actually stopped doing that because Photoshop came in and nobody believes that I've hand painted these pieces. And I just thought, oh, what's the point? Nobody looks, nobody takes the time to really see what I'm doing. If you look, there's a shadow where the paint is, but people just think because of Photoshop and, well, certainly like AI now, I just thought there's no point here. So that was quite unusual what I was doing, but actually people didn't really believe it. So that was, yeah, I guess a little frustrating. But I think wearing a paper bag as a mask with my face on is probably a slightly most unconventional thing I've ever done. I do listen to music. A lot of the times it's instrumental music, or I like a bit of folk music, and there's all kinds, and I can't remember all their names. And it's Nadia Reid is one, and I like soundtracks. I like movie soundtracks, because they give you a whole wide variety. Like a really lovely one I've been listening to is on Spotify. There's The Detectorists, if you've ever watched that series. The soundtrack to that, it's beautiful. Quite a lot of folky stuff. King Creosote, John Grant. So there you're getting my vibe there a bit. I like a lot of hip hop. But when I'm working, I like pretty mellow stuff that I find sort of takes me away a little bit. I cannot listen to podcasts when I'm working. If I'm working very intently, I can't listen to podcasts because I'm not listening. I don't hear them. The story does not go in. So I save those for when I'm cooking or something like that. But yeah, I do like a bit of classical. Yeah. The best reaction. I terrified a lady with my yelling paper bag portrait at the Art Car Boot Fair this summer. I was doing some filming on Hayden Kay's stall, knocking down his tin cans, and I was changing my bag for the different, emotional responses, as it were, expressions. And a woman walked round, and you can see her in the video. She and you can hear her in the original recording, and sort of go, ah! She really, really screams and physically jumps. So that was quite good. So that was a good reaction. Children, I love children's reactions. When I go out filming in galleries with the bags, I get a lot of people watching, obviously. I don't like too much attention, so I tend to go when it's very quiet. And people are bemused, confused. Good, yeah, really fascinating reactions I get when I'm wearing the bags. And when they see the amount of bags and portraits I have of all the emotions, expressions, they're genuinely really intrigued. And I love interacting with people when I'm out and about filming, actually. It's the one thing that makes it worth it. I like it when people come up and talk to me because it's very difficult. I find it very difficult going out filming with a bag on my head. And I can't do it on my own, which is very frustrating at times because I need someone to film me. Because I won't do it with a selfie stick because I feel too... it's so frustrating when words don't come to mind. vulnerable. Yeah, I feel very vulnerable with a bag on my head. And then, so, yeah, but I love seeing people's reactions to my work like that. And it's all been, only one lady was not very amused by my bags. But she didn't realise, but she was quite funny. What do I hope people take away from my artwork? I hope that they just take that away, all the emotions of life. Happiness, they're happy, they're sad, they're thoughtful, I want to make art that makes people feel it's okay to feel what they feel. And I did a piece, I think one of those the best pieces for me is, and this really went a bit crazy on Instagram, is me cutting a bag off my face. So I'm cutting my smile portrait up, and underneath there's my big screaming, yelling face, and I'm cutting the bag off to Elton John, I'm Still Standing. And even when I watch that, I'm really proud of it. And I think people really related to it because of that. We're still standing. You still get up every day and carry on. Because, this life is not easy. For a lot of people, right now especially, it's really, really tough. Almost impossible. And we all have that in our own way at different points in our lives. And if only we all remembered that and got on and loved it, the world would obviously be a better place. But anyway, I just think, if people can take away, I love to make people laugh and feel joy, but also to make them think, and to make them wonder and laugh and imagine more, then that would be, and to be inspired, I guess, to be inspired and to want to make art. But obviously that's not going to be for everyone. Well, thank you for asking me to do this. Let us know of any upcoming events. I haven't got anything as far as I know coming up this year. I'm hoping things are going to start happening in 2025, with a couple of galleries. But if people want to follow me, I am on TikTok. On TikTok, I am My Paper Bag Life. But on Instagram, it's just me, Charlotte Bracegirdle. And I'm always doing it. And if anyone has any suggestions for expression, send them my way. Because I like that. And if anyone would like a paper bag portrait, then let me know. Because I do draw other people, you see. I don't just draw me. So the aim was also to do my street, but I've only got round to 2 neighbours so far. So that's another ongoing side project of My Paper Bag Life. So anyway, I wish everyone to have a lovely day and a good life. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.